Namaste. It's my pleasure to welcome Honorable Prime Minister of India, Sri Narendra Modi ji, His Excellency Honorable Governor of Karnataka and Chancellor of Rajiv Gandhi University of Health Sciences, Sri Vajubhai Wala ji, Sri B.S. Yediyurappa ji, Honorable Chief Minister of Karnataka, Honorable Union Ministers, Deputy Chief Minister, Honorable Minister for Medical Education and Pro-Chancellor of RGUHS, Member of Parliament and other elected members of Bangalore South and Jayanagar constituency, Additional Chief Secretary, Department of Health and Medical Education, former Vice Chancellors and Statutory Officers, members of Senate, Syndicate and other officers, deans, principals of affiliated colleges, and media representatives, all other dignitaries, and my dear students. For me to welcome each one of you. This great university started functioning from 1st June 1986, and today, Rajiv Gandhi University of Health Sciences has over 800 institutions and over 2.5 lakh students are studying in this university. Being the largest health science university in the country, many digital initiatives have been taken. This university is entering into its 25th year of existence from 1st June 2020, that is today, to 31st May 2021. We are blessed that this event is being inaugurated by our beloved Prime Minister today. It is a dream of this university to promote research activities to improve the academic environment in the colleges. In this regard, university has initiated many activities like faculty research, student research programs, collaborative research with premier institutes of national importance like Indian Institute of Science, National Center for Biological Sciences, Center for Human Genetics, and Jawaharlal Nehru Center for Advanced Scientific Research. Many research activities have culminated in publications and patents. COVID-19 pandemic has gripped the country, and because of the initiatives taken by Government of India and Government of Karnataka, today the disease is very much under control. Rajiv Gandhi University of Health Sciences has contributed to the control of pandemic by creating awareness in containing COVID-19, arranging series of training sessions for over 1.7 lakh healthcare professionals, and also conducting online classes for students. In addition, our university has evolved treatment protocol guidelines for COVID-19. Further, we have invited research proposals from our faculty exclusively on COVID-19 pandemic. ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳು. We are living at a moment where the world is facing a huge crisis due to COVID-19 pandemic. Besides causing incalculable damage to the world economy, COVID-19 crisis has changed every sphere of our living. It has altered the lives of humans in an unprecedented manner, making us ponder new ways to overcome these challenges. This is where innovation comes in. During this testing time, Rajiv Gandhi University of Health Sciences, in association with partners, Namaste, sir. On behalf of the family of Rajiv Gandhi University of Health Sciences, I, Dr. S. Sachidanand, Vice Chancellor, Rajiv Gandhi University of Health Sciences, have the pleasure to welcome you, sir, to inaugurate the Silver Jubilee celebrations and 25th day foundation of RGUHS, and also to release the compendium of research articles published by various faculties of the affiliated institutions of this university. I also request you to deliver the inaugural address, sir. Dhanyavadagal. I hereby request the Honorable Prime Minister of India to inaugurate the 25th year celebrations and release the compendium of research articles published. Kindly address the gathering, sir.
Governor of Karnataka, Sri Vajubewala, CM Yedurappa ji, Vice Chancellor, distinguished faculty, alumni, young friends, students, it gives me great joy to inaugurate the 25th Foundation Day of this distinguished university. I congratulate the entire medical and scientific community associated with this university. In these years, you are doing wonderful work in teaching as well as training on systems of medicine. 25 years means this university is in the prime of its youth. This is the age to think even bigger and do even better. I'm confident that the university will continue to scale new heights of excellence in the times to come. I would also like to appreciate the efforts of the Karnataka government in handling the COVID-19 situation. Friends, In normal times, the celebrations would have surely been bigger. Had it not been for the global pandemic, I would have loved to be with you all in Bangalore to mark this special day. But today, the world is facing one of the biggest crises since the two world wars. Like the world changed pre and post world wars, the same way the pre and post COVID world will be different. Friends, during such a time, the world is looking up to our doctors, nurses, medical staff, and scientific community with hope and gratitude. The world seeks both care and cure from you. Friends, at the root of India's brave fight against COVID-19 is the hard work of the medical community and our corona warriors. In fact, doctors and medical workers are like soldiers, but without the soldier's uniform. The virus may be an invisible enemy, but our corona warriors, medical workers are invincible. In the battle of invisible versus invincible, our medical workers are sure to win. Friends, earlier, the debate on globalization have focused on economic issues. Now, the world must unite and focus on humanity-centric aspects of development. Advancements nations make in the health sector will matter more than ever before. Friends, during the last 6 years, we in India, many initiatives in healthcare and medical education. We are broadly working on 4 pillars. The first is preventive healthcare. This includes the importance to yoga, Ayurveda, and general fitness. More than 40,000 wellness centers have been opened where a key focus is on controlling lifestyle-related disease. The success of the Swachh Bharat mission is another key part of preventive healthcare. The second is affordable healthcare. Ayushman Bharat, the world's largest healthcare scheme, belongs to India. In less than 2 years, 1 crore people have benefited from this Ayushman Bharat scheme. Women and those staying in villages are among the major beneficiaries of this scheme. And the third pillar is improvements on the supply side. A nation like ours has to have proper medical infrastructure and medical education infrastructure. Work is underway to ensure a medical college or postgraduate medical institute in every district of the country. The country has seen rapid progress in setting up 22 more aims. Over the last 5 years, we have been able to add over 30,000 seats in MBBS and 15,000 seats in post-graduation. This has been the largest increase in the 5-year term of any government since independence. The Medical Council of India has been replaced by a new National Medical Mission, the new National Medical Commission, through an act of the Parliament. This will go in a long way in improving the quality of medical education, bringing it at par with the international standards. The fourth pillar is mission mode implementation. A well thought of idea on paper makes it only a good idea, and a good idea will implemented makes it a great one. Hence, implementation is very crucial. Here, I would like to highlight the success of India's National Nutrition Mission that is helping youngsters and their mothers. India is working 24/7 to eliminate TB by 2025. This is the 5 years ahead of the global target of 2030. Mission Indradhanush has increased our rate of annual rise in vaccination coverage by 4 times. Friends, the central government recently approved the introduction of a new law for expanding education of more than 50 different allied and healthcare professionals. This law, once passed, will address the shortage of paramedical personnel in the country. It will also help India in supplying skilled resources to other countries. Friends, there are 3 things on which I would urge maximum discussion and participation. One is advances in telemedicine. Can we think of new models that make telemedicine popular on a larger scale? The other is related to making India in the health sector. The initial gains make me optimistic. Our domestic manufacturers have started production of PPEs and have supplied about 1 crore PPEs to COVID warriors. Similarly, we have supplied 1.2 crore Make in India N95 masks to all states. Third is IT-related tools for healthier societies. I'm sure you have the Arogya Setu app on your mobiles. 12 crore. 12 crore health conscious people have downloaded it. This has been very helpful in the fight against coronavirus. Friends, I'm aware of an area that is of great concern to you all. Due to a mob mentality, those working on the front lines, those on duty, be it doctors, nurses, safai workers, others are subject to violence. I want to state it clearly. Violence, abuse, and rude behavior is not acceptable. Steps have been taken to protect you against any form of violence. We have also provided an insurance cover of rupees 50 lakh for those on the front line. Friends, I'm happy to see the fruitful journey of this university over last 25 years, which has produced thousands of medical and paramedical personnel who are serving the poor and the needy in this challenging time. I'm sure that the university will continue to produce health personnel of excellent quality and caliber that will make the state and the country proud. Thank you. Thank you very much.
I was just talking about all interested innovators who are encouraged to present potential solution ideas, proof of concept, prototype, mobile application that can help curb the problem that are currently being faced by healthcare professionals. I'm really grateful that today Honorable Prime Minister has inaugurated the 25th Day Foundation celebrations and also the Silver Jubilee celebrations of Rajiv Gandhi University of Health Sciences. We are very grateful to Prime Minister of India for this opportunity given to us. Thank you so much, sir, on behalf of the entire family of Rajiv Gandhi University of Health Sciences.
Thank you, sir. Now this is the time to release and rejoice the Hackathon booklet. I would request all the dignitaries to release the Hackathon booklet. Continuing the release, I would now request the dignitaries to release the Foundation Day special postal cover of RGUHS. we take the privilege to honor all the dignitaries. I would now request the Vice Chancellor, Registrar Evaluation to give away the mementos to the dignitaries. I would now request all the audience to raise for the National Anthem.
पंजाब सिंधु गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल गंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उत्कल जलधि तरंगा तब शुभ नामे जागे तब शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तब जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे।
I would request all the audience to please be seated and ease the movement of VIPs.
First one.
In case it doesn't play. The first one is the presentation.
Okay, and then I'll have to copy the old records.
So the audio is connected live.
Yes. There were 5 items. How is it asking? 2 items only. ಲಾಗಿನ್ ಆಗಿರೋದು ಸ್ಕ್ರೀನ್ ಬರಬೇಕು. ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಗಡ್ಬಿಡಿ ಆಯ್ತಪ್ಪ. ನಾನು ಕರೆದು ತಕ್ಷಣ ಅನ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ರೆ ಏನು ಮಾಡೋದು ಅಂತ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಅದನ್ನು ಡೆವಲಪ್ ಮಾಡಿದೆ. US ಮಕ್ಕಳು ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ Can you see me? Which camera? Check.
ಲೈಫ್ ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಲೈಫ್ ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಸ್ಪೀಕ್ ಇದೊಳಗಡೆ ಈಗ ಡಿಸ್ಕಷನ್ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಆನ್ಲೈನ್ ಓಕೆ ಸರ್
You can't one by one ಈಗ
Rajiv Gandhi University of Health Sciences, Karnataka. A premier health science university in India was established on 1st of June 1996 at Bangalore by the government of Karnataka through its enactment of Rajiv Gandhi University of Health Sciences Karnataka Act 1994. Rajiv Gandhi University of Health Sciences (RGUHS) is considered as one of the top universities offering the best medical education in India, with initiatives to make it syllabi for different courses of world-class quality, taking it to the forefront of medical education in India. Based on the ever-changing scenario and also on the needs of the society, it has been restructuring its programs and also starting new ones so that quality healthcare reaches the nooks and corners of the country.
As you all know, Rajiv Gandhi University of Health Sciences is one of the largest health university run by state university in the entire country. It was established in the year of 1996, and from then on it is marching towards its 25th year or Silver Jubilee year celebrations. In the last 24 years, the journey has been very smooth. There were little ups and downs, but by and large the university has reached a pinnacle of its existence. A lot of achievements have been done, a lot of innovations, many first programs have been implemented by Rajiv Gandhi University of Health Sciences, which has become a gold standard in the medical education field. Rajiv Gandhi University of Health Sciences is now affiliating more than 600 institutions comprising of medical, dental, Ayurveda, nursing, homeopathy, Unani, pharmacy, and allied health sciences. As a mark of the future 25th year Silver Jubilee celebrations, a series of events are being planned to bring good image to the university. One of the flagship programs that has been taken up is faculty training programs. The entire 20,000 plus faculty that we have will be trained in phases depending on their designations. And this would definitely help in bringing uniformity in teaching methodologies, uniformity in setting question papers, in evaluation of students, and thereby a good academic atmosphere in the entire university. Faculty are also being selected and trained in specific areas like molecular biology, nanotechnology, and other genetic disorders. And this also will help in better diagnostic facilities being provided to patients. Faculty also are being given opportunities to establish collaborative research, to have translation research, and also basic research. And in the last 4 or 5 years, more than 300 projects have been funded to the tune of around 20-25 crores by Rajiv Gandhi University of Health Sciences, which in itself has given a lot of boost to research activities in India. So much so that now we are going for 5 patents, filing of 5 patents in the coming year, and a few more in the coming couple of years. So this is the advantage of giving a boost to research activities, which is the foremost activity as far as my opinion is concerned. We are also trying to introduce research to undergraduate students. At their level, small time research they can take up, and Rajiv Gandhi University will fund these activities. And this is just to inculcate research bent of mind in undergraduate students, so that when they become postgraduates and faculty, they would continue to do this research activities.
Vision, mission. Vision of Rajiv Gandhi University of Health Sciences is to ensure unique excellence in education, research and outreach for the protection, restoration and promotion of health, with an objective of strengthening of healthcare to the world. The objective of the university is to recognize health needs of the community, promote development of scientific temper and health sciences research, encourage inclusion of social accountability amongst students, teachers and institutions, support quality assurance for all its educational programs. heads of the university, administration, examination, and finance. Each of these is headed by a statutory officer as mandated in the University Act. Registrar, who is the Chief Administrative Officer of the university.
This was the first of its kind in the whole country that a separate university was established for the for taking care of the health related subjects. So from that year, that means 1996, there were 216 colleges affiliated to this university, and as on today, there are 686 colleges are affiliated to this university, and this number is growing every year. So more and more colleges are being established. They are coming to the fold of the this university. So since the 1996, university has been making lot of progress, innovative activities, and more recently in the field of research, very good initiatives have been taken up, particularly on the theme-based research, coordinating with the national level prestigious institutes like Indian Institute of Science, then other research institutes based in Bangalore. This university has entered into MOU with those prestigious institutes and conducting various research activities.
Examination. Rajiv Gandhi University of Health Sciences, RGUHS, has a robust and transparent system of student assessment. The year-end examinations that are conducted by the university are supported by the internal assessments that the affiliated institutions conduct under the guidance of the university.
I am extremely happy to share with all of you that ours is the first university from health sciences in the entire country to start digital evaluation. As far as evaluation section is considered in the university, starting from setting the papers, transferring the answer scripts, digital evaluation, everything is taken place at the proper time. We are planning new 2 schemes, especially web screening at all the centers, and also to have the peripheral scanning centers. So the time taken to shift answer scripts from the various places to Bangalore will be reduced, and also we are planning to announce the results within 24 hours after conducting the practical examinations. So the university's intention is to see to it that it is all students friendly. Regarding thesis, earlier students were used to prepare hard copies, 4 or 5 copies, and send it to the universities, but henceforth it will be in the digital form. Students need not send the copies. Students in their center only, it will be evaluated and the results will be announced at the earliest.
Finance. Finance division maintains the financial integrity and audit. This division also has an internal audit wing that keeps tabs on the expenditure and maintains transparency.
This university is specially meant for the excellence in health science education and its dissemination to the poorest and poor of the community and to the all health aspiring students of our country.
We are here to begin with the second part of the
along
session
with our
today.
state. There are so many challenges.
Is always an opportunity to learn. When it comes to a place like university, learning is the mantra we chant. So now it's the time to chant the mantra again. Via an interaction, I would request our Honorable Medical Education Minister to interact with the representative of Bangalore Medical College. Sir, your teammates would be Dr. Ravi, Dr. Shashi Bhushan, Dr. Dayanand, Dr. Sneha, Dr. Sudesh, and Dr. Ambika. Thank you. I would request Professor Sudeshan sir to begin with.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I have been quickly asked to do an introduction, and the first group is from Bangalore Medical College. They will be doing this activity under the leadership of our Honorable Minister for Medical Education, along with Additional Chief Secretary, Medical Education and Health and Family Welfare Services, and Registrar and other officials of the university. As we are all aware now that in our state, we are unlocking COVID pandemic 1.0. We have passed through this journey in a reasonably successful way, which is visible every day in the statistics of the state vis-a-vis of the country and in comparison with other states of the country. As a university, we have a good resources of clinicians, laboratory scientists, public health scientists, and virologists, obviously. And now, today, as a part of this hackathon, I request our Honorable Minister for Medical Education to chair this program. I now invite Dr. K. Ravi, Professor and HOD of Internal Medicine from Victoria Hospital, Bangalore Medical College and Research Institute, to start the program. Over to Dr. K. Ravi.
Thank you, sir. Honorable. Thank you, sir. Honorable Minister for Medical Education, Dr. Sudhakar, sir, Dr. Javed Akhtar, Principal Secretary, and other dignitaries. So till now, the Victoria Hospital, which has been converted into a COVID hospital till date, starting from March till today, we have admitted around 300 plus cases, of which we have seen majority of them are males in the age group of between 20 to 30. Till today, till yesterday evening, we have discharged around 200 patients. To give a just brief about it, we had majority of them, around 80% of them are asymptomatic. Another 20% of them, of the 300 plus patients which we saw, about 35 to 40 patients required ICU admission in the intensive care unit. Among these patients with intensive care admissions, majority of them were with comorbid conditions, with diabetes, hypertension, coronary artery disease. Most of them were with comorbid condition. Few of them with comorbid conditions did not get admitted to ICU. But anyway, out of these 35 to 40 patients who got admitted to ICU, unfortunately, we lost around 6 cases, though 6 were ventilated. All of those patients who were ventilated, unfortunately, we were not able to retrieve them back. So this is these brief data. During our journey for the last 2 months of treating this COVID patients, we have come up with a few challenges that has been intriguing us regarding what can be done, both in diagnosis and the therapeutic part of it. The diagnostic part, mainly with the testing, as you all know, the most accepted is the RT-PCR, oropharyngeal swab. There is a lot of load coming from the patients, inpatients, the travelers, everything. So we just thought we'll just ask our microbiologist, Dr. Ambika or Dr. Sneha, to come out with innovative ideas, what can be thrown to our audience on the other side from Indian Institute of Science or IITM and other scientists who are there on the other side. what are the innovations that we can put across so that they can give us an idea about those things. I request Dr. Sneha to come out with those innovations in the diagnostics.
A very good morning to everybody. Myself, Dr. Sneha. I represent the Viral Research and Diagnostic Laboratory. As sir has briefly told, we have been a state-level laboratory, and till date we have tested around 30,000 samples. Though we started much earlier in February, of late the load has increased, and we are getting on an average around 800 to 1,000 samples per day. And in the process of handling these samples, we have come across certain challenges which we thought we'll put across today in this forum so that we will get a solution to our problems. And in addition, we also have a few more research questions which, if can be solved, which will help us in future as well. So I will just list out a few which we think is important from our perspective. So as we know, the gold standard right now is the real-time RT-PCR, and the sample which is tested right now is a combination of nasopharyngeal and oropharyngeal swabs. And we all know that there are certain constraints for these gold standards as well. So we wanted to ask if self-collected non-invasive samples like saliva, if we can prepare a dry salivary spot on a filter paper in the same manner as we do the dry blood spot, or if we can test the breath of the patient like in breath analyzer, is it possible to develop a point of care test that can be done at the periphery or in the field? So that is first thing we would like to have an answer for. Should I continue with the other? Okay. So another important thing is role of the gut microbiome in immunity against COVID-19. Can we analyze and correlate it with the outcome? Because gut microbiome has been implicated in a lot of other diseases as well. Then for the mass testing, are there any modalities which can be developed indigenously? Right now we are dependent on all the models which are imported from other countries. Can we have an indigenous model for which is low cost and can be applied for mass testing? That is our third query. And fourth one is it possible to develop a simple cost-effective technique for diagnosis as well as simultaneous detection of mutations in SARS-CoV-2? Because there are some research papers which say that a mutation has got some association with the severity. So can that be developed? Then moving on to monitor the seroconversion or recovery using IgG and IgM titers, can simple rapid platforms be developed? Right now we are in the process of validating IgG ELISA, but we would like to know if any other rapid platform can be developed. And also to monitor the progress, we are dependent on PCR right now, and we are seeing quite a few cases showing positivity even after 20, 25 days or even 30 days. So the only way to say whether the patient is having live virus or not is to culture it. And for that we need DSL-3, which is a costly affair. So the question would be to see if it is possible to develop indigenous cost-effective prototype biosafety level 3, which can be implemented even at medical college level. Is it possible to do that? And last thing is again, is it possible to develop an indigenous quantitative PCR kit to estimate the viral load? Suppose a patient has been on plasma therapy and we want to know the outcome, or even to see whether the viral load has got an association with the severity. Few papers say that they are not having any direct correlation, but there are certain papers which say there is a correlation between the viral load and the outcome. So can we come up with a quantitative PCR kit indigenous to estimate the viral load? So these are the questions from our side. I would like ask Dr. Ravi to take it up further.
Thank you, Madam. I kindly request the honorable members and scientists across, can we have certain innovations regarding the proposed ideas by our team from Department of Microbiology or the Laboratory Services? Dr. Vishal Rao, sir.
Hello, sir. So very good morning to all of you, sir. I thank the Honorable Medical Education Minister, the Vice Chancellor, the Additional Chief Secretary Health for giving us this opportunity. So the first idea for this came from our Honorable Vice Chancellor, who actually encouraged us to say that youngsters should come forward and collectively join hands to actually showcase their innovations. And we realized that a whole lot of youngsters have come out with a lot of ideas from RGUHS, from various of the institutions. Like for example, we are currently working with one group which is working on artificial intelligence using simple chest X-ray, which can be used as a very effective tool to screen patients with very fair accuracy. They've built a database based on 40,000 COVID positive patients' X-rays, and we are now looking at screening this as a very effective screening tool, very simple, cost-effective screening tool with very high accuracy rate, where just on an X-ray we should be able to, much before a PCR, tell them whether the patient is suspicious or not. Similarly, like what Ravi sir said, and what Sneha madam presented, there are a lot of questions. The ITPT ministry is taking a lot of interest forward. We have the Bangalore Bioinnovation Center. I think Dr. Jitendra sir is here joining us from the Bangalore Bioinnovation Center. ITPT ministry, I think that day they presented to Deputy CM about 25 odd innovations which they are already in the pipeline, which includes rapid diagnostic tests, non-invasive tests, which simplify the complexity of PCR and bring down the cost from 15 or 50 lakhs to almost about 1 lakh, which is much more affordable for all medical colleges and institutions to set up. In the same way, from Bangalore Medical College, with their guidance, what Sneha madam rightly pointed out, neutralizing antibody titer is currently required pan-India, because all across India where ICMR is doing the plasma therapy study, we realize that there is no neutralizing antibody titer machine at all, because this requires a live virus and a PSL-3 facility, which is a big hurdle. So the only way to solve this problem is to look at some innovative solutions. So the DRDO team, along with their experts, some of the former scientists, are helping us build a prototype with ELISA, which will actually help us analyze the plasma-related neutralizing antibody titers. We have the Indian Institute of Management, IIMB, Professor Raghuram, the director, joined us here. Triple ITB, we have Indian Institute of Science, Dr. Deepak Saini and Sandhya. So a whole lot of these experts have joined together. Microsoft has also agreed to be our hackathon partner to help us develop apps for the students. I earlier also presented this to the Honorable Medical Education Minister to tell that Microsoft was keen to interact with him to develop indigenous contact tracing tools, which he has very much encouraged. So I think we have a whole lot of opportunities ahead of us, sir, and I thank the government of Karnataka for giving us so much of encouragement and believing in us that we want to do this for our state and for our country. With this, I will lay it open to the rest of the dignitaries to give their comments. Thank you, sir.
Can I request one of the faculty from IIMB to comment, sir?
Hello, good morning to all.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. I think lecture is up. Is it possible, Professor Raghuram, can you say a few words before I explain our role in this innovative challenge?
Yeah, no, well, first of all, I must thank you for the opportunity to be present for this Silver Jubilee event of the RGUHS. It was good to hear a few things about what is happening, and so in terms of innovations, we have the N.S. Raghavan Center for Entrepreneurial Learning, which looks after both, entrepreneurship as well as new ideas that come forth, and then, through various schemes and processes, they identify people who can convert those ideas into an entrepreneurial venture, and that's really where NSR Cell comes in. I think the right person to really explain this and how this can help, especially in the health context and more so in the current context, and the hackathon that you all have initiated, I think the right person to speak more about it is Professor Venkatesh Panchapakesan, who heads our MSR cell. So I will hand over to him, and thank you all once again. I may have to leave in a short while because some other, I had sort of planned to be here till 12:15. So I hand over to Venki Panchapakesan. Yeah.
Sure. Thank you, sir. Again, I think just to reiterate, we are quite delighted to be part of this challenge. I think our role is largely to convert ideas to sustainable businesses, which is what we have been doing for the last 20 years. We are one of the oldest academic incubators in the country. And I think in the space of health, we have been largely sort of absent. We have got a lot of startups that we have helped develop in all other areas, but unfortunately in health we have not had a good set of people. So I think this is an opportunity for us, and also more importantly, the importance of the situation, given that everybody is now trying to find cost-effective solutions so that we can address this pandemic in a good way. We think we can play a significant role. And once the ideas come out of the hackathon, what we plan to do is to bring them to both IIM Bangalore as well as the Bangalore Innovation Center, both of us Bio Innovation Center, where we would combine together our capabilities. The Bangalore Bio Innovation Center would probably be leading the technology and the innovation side, and we will be looking at how to convert them into a sustainable business so that the entrepreneur has some incentives to take their innovation or ideas, not only make a social impact, also develop it to a sustainable business. So with that, I hand it over to the organizers. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Should we continue? Sir, I got a few more questions which are innovative from our clinicians. If the panelists or the faculty members from IIMB, Indian Institute of Science, would be able to address this just as a part of the hackathon which is been inaugurated by our Honorable Chief Minister and the Minister of Medical Education. One thing is which we have come across is the use of these PPEs. Plenty of PPEs, and it is being generating lot of biomedical waste. Can we come up with some ideas of this disposable of this biomedical waste and reuse of these PPEs?
If I can, see, we had a biomedical waste sort of a challenge some few months back, and unfortunately this happened in the pre-COVID times, where the biomedical waste disposal itself was an area where we could bring innovation. So we had almost some 10 or 12 teams which participated, and most of these are either employees of hospitals or students who combined with medical workers came up with solutions, and we were in the process of converting them, some of those good ideas into businesses, which is what happened before COVID. But now that you raise this issue, I think in my opinion, the ideas are plenty, and there are very interesting solutions that come from people who are actually facing these challenges on a daily basis. It is just that we need to provide them with an environment to be able to convert that. And I think we can provide that once more for this particular the challenge that you were raising.
Thank you, sir. Request Dr. Diana, sir, had a question.
Sir, thank you for giving the opportunity. Yeah. Yeah. So, maintaining the social distancing has become an issue now. So many a times when we are involved in something, we won't be knowing at all. is it possible to have any thermal sensors in the form of a gadget or a button, so that at least an individual who is having high fever, if he comes near within 5 feet or so, we can maintain the distance? Is that possible, sir? If it is a low-cost thermal sensor, if somebody with a temperature coming near to us, at least we can maintain the social distancing. Because when we are in a group, when we are in teaching, many a times we forget to do that. If it can give us a beep or so, it will help us.
Absolutely. In fact, we do have, I can, is it possible for me to answer this? I mean, I think just to, we have a student who has created this electronic beep, which does exactly what you said, which is using not particularly a thermal sensor, but more in terms of people coming within a small radius, so that the social distance is maintained, so that if somebody sort of comes closer to you and keeps the, there is a beep which is emanated, and this particular student is already creating this product for the businesses when they are ready to open. So I think my guess is that there is a possibility of a lot of solutions like this. I think we just need to raise it in a proper way so that the right people can attack these problems.
We do, one more challenge what do we face is in the deaths which is happening here in COVID deaths, the autopsy is contraindicated. So ICMR has not given us permission to do an autopsy. Unless we do the autopsy, we won't be knowing what is the true pathology beneath. The main reason for not allowing the autopsy is during the process, there is always a possibility of creating infected aerosol a lot. To avoid that, we need to have a negative pressure rooms. So, whenever we ask for negative pressure suits or the rooms, they are quoting very high. So, is it possible to have a small cabin-like thing where there is an inlet of air and the outlet with a HEPA filter, so that no infective aerosol is created, so that it will help us to start doing an autopsy, which is truly necessary now to understand what is the true pathology beneath this COVID to tackle. Simple box-like thing where there is an inlet of air and the outlet with an HEPA filter to avoid the infection to spread. With a minimal expense, is it possible to create, sir?
Anyone, sir?
Professor Venki.
Please, sir. Dr. Vishal Rao.
Sir, just to add to this, currently there are many of these experts. We know one aeronautical engineering group that has been currently working on something similar to what you're saying. I think it is ideal that we connect with you because we are developing systems on a similar system. So I think it will be worthwhile that we connect with you. It's a Spanish group, but incubated in Karnataka, that are very much interested in this work, and specifically for the point that you have raised, is a very relevant one, and we'll be actually guide you on this and work together with you, sir. So I'll be happy to connect them with you.
Oh, sure. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Aeronautical engineers who are actually working on this, and their core area is aerodynamics. So I think the point you have raised is very pertinent, and they'll be people to work on this problem in a little more detailed fashion.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank the Honorable Vice Chancellor and other officials of the university for giving us an opportunity. Now I request our Honorable Minister for Medical Education, Dr. Sudhakar, to kindly interact with the Honorable members. Thank you, sir.
First of all, I would like to congratulate the Rajiv Gandhi University of Health Sciences for the 25 years since its foundation. So there could have not be in a better day, more meaningful way than our beloved Honorable Prime Minister inaugurating Hackathon challenge and also being the part and parcel of this Silver Jubilee celebration in a COVID style. So initially he was saying our lives have changed so much that our lifestyles are before Corona and after Corona. So there has been no virus till date which has bothered the human so much as the Corona. So today, under his able guidance and vision, our Rajiv Gandhi University has taken up this hackathon challenge by involving institutions of national importance like Indian Institute of Science, Indian Institute of Management, IT, National Center for Biological Sciences, Center for Human Genetics, and many more institutions. I think this is just the beginning. By next week, I think we'll have a full day interaction. And I think our BMC institution have raised a very valid queries, especially in terms of testing, whether there could be innovations in making it more simpler way of testing, because every Indian or everybody is today so panicked. Even if they are normal, they want to get it tested and they need to see the test report being negative. So this is the kind of psyche which has set in every individual. Maybe this is because of the kind of response the entire global leaders or every government that has really reacted to it, and the media is also day in and day out. We have been showing all sorts of information about this disease. Fortunately for our country, more than 80% of the people who have tested been totally asymptomatic. So it's been always, for me, though medical professional, it has been a pleasant surprise, and I would like to understand why there is more than 80% of asymptomatic in India. When you compare with other countries, there are more percentage which is bothering that communities and that countries, but not in India. So what is that specific resistance power Indians have? I would like to understand that. So our sciences, our research team should really study on this aspect and come out with that single thing which is really preventing from getting a serious infection. So if we can really develop any kind of medicine using this, we will be contributing to the globe. So this is one aspect. Secondly, the tele-ICU and the telemedicine. The telemedicine should be elaborately, it should be used. So I would like to request the tech companies to come up with more robust solutions of how effective a telemedicine can be implemented in this country and in this state especially. So regarding biomedical waste, already Dr. Ravi has mentioned, this is bothering us. There is so much of legacy waste as it is in our state and in the country. We can't add this biomedical waste to it. So if you can come out and design a kind of material where it can be reused, or it should be disposed in a way, one-time disposal, without any legacy waste, without it adding to a legacy waste. Similarly, this institution, I am very proud that I am holding Ministry of Medical Education, because in this crisis, our university has trained over 1,75,000 health professions online to combat this COVID issue. So I really congratulate all the family members of Rajiv Gandhi University. And this has been a great innovative idea. Rajiv Gandhi is leading from the front in the country, to be precise. And as Mahatma Gandhi ji once said, only he can be a leader who never loses hope. The future depends on what we do today. So we need to understand that today we need to react to this COVID issue, and we need to design using the technology and our research papers. Of course, we are getting the research papers from all over the world. Our professors are studying. Similarly, our research professors also should study these papers and try to link it with Indian conditions. Especially in Karnataka, so far, with the help of our health department, with all our senior officers. Next to me is our additional Chief Secretary, Shri Javed Akhtarji. Under his able leadership, the entire bureaucracy of the government is slogging day and night along with Corona warriors. If we are just about 3,000 we have crossed. We have been the first state in the country to say we are unlocking. From last 3 months, I think last night we have released a new guideline saying this will be the first unlockdown phase, just to remove the last lot of fear that has set in our people. So I think from now, everybody is required to, take away the fear of the common man. Because only 3 to 4% of the people who are infected are getting serious symptoms and who are getting on to ICU or could be on ventilators. Ventilators are hardly 1 to 2%. So the aggressive treatment protocols, the uniform protocol has been set in Karnataka. We have also set up the tele ICU, and we are using also lot of technology, including the app, the watch, surveillance watch, especially under our war room, Shri Monish Mudgilji. We have a lot of surveillance apps, Arogya Setu. So we need to have a robust surveillance system going forward from here, because we need to kickstart our economy. We can't continue to have a lockdown permanently. In order to do that, our systems right from the ground level, that is why we say act local and think global. So this should be our strategy. So we have formed our task force committees at the ground level, that is Gram Panchayats and Gram village level in rural areas. Similarly, ward at urban areas in all BBMP and all corporations. So this has to be like a partnership, citizen and government partnership. This is the only way that we have understood that can really solve, or we can combat this pandemic. Without the support and cooperation of the citizens, whatever that medical sciences, the departments, the governments do, it will be a very futile exercise. So in order to do that, we should all join together, technology especially, and our research, innovation, all the institutions in this state, especially we have more than 60 medical colleges, about 17 government institutions out of which. So our research wing should be enhanced and strengthened. So innovation is the only way to go forward and to address to many of our problems. So I really acknowledge the great scholars, the professors who have joined me and who have joined this mission of addressing and combating this pandemic. And I thank you for the opportunity. This is a great platform. I wish more and more institutions and more people with talent, commitment and dedication will join this effort to combat this pandemic. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We would now continue with the lectures. I would now request Dr. Abhijit Sheth to deliver his endowment lecture dedicated to Dr. Kantha Jadhav on the topic Impact of COVID-19 on Medical Education. To introduce the speaker, being qualified as cardiothoracic surgeon in 1994, he began his career as an assistant professor of NHC Medical College, Ahmedabad. Later, he worked in UK obtaining FRCS in general surgery, publishing more than 20 peer-reviewed publications in prestigious journals. He holds an MBA as a health executive. In 2016, Government of India had nominated him as the President of National Board of Examination. In 2019, he received UNESCO Chair Rights of Appointment as the NBE UNESCO Chair in the Bioethics National Program. He is nominated in NABH Governing Board from April 2019. I would now welcome Dr. Abhijit Sheth to deliver his lecture.
Yeah, now I got unmute. Yeah. Namaste of the National Board of Exam. I extend my gratitude to Dr. S. Sachidanand and Rajiv Gandhi, University of Health Science Institute, and I compliment the successful endeavor over the time they have been in the state of Karnataka and the country. I also...
Your call has been disconnected. Goodbye.
Now, this is not the system rest of the globe. The normal ratio is at least 1:1, and in country like UK, which is 2:1, because that health system and that helps this sort of pandemic or this sorts of catastrophe of epidemic much more efficiently and effectively. Interestingly, I'd like to put a little bit of my observation on undergraduate and postgraduate education. Traditionally, India is reasonably strong in postgraduate education, although we have to put economy and diversity aside. But I state that India provided the highest number of postgraduate doctors to the world. While the undergraduate medical education was quite strong in the late part of 20th century, but with the advancement of medical complexities, technologies, sciences and scope, our graduate curriculum did change that rapidly over the time. And interestingly, we have little bit weaker undergraduate education compared to our postgraduate medical education. And now we all see that area, as you research that Medical Council of India, including competency-based education and so forth. The another which is between tertiary versus the healthcare. Again, the India has on tertiary healthcare past 2 decades with the advancement of corporate health structures, advancement of technology adoption, infrastructure, and certainly we have a great proportion of intellectual human resources. Our tertiary care has advanced a lot, but we are still lagging behind significantly in primary and secondary health. Similarly, healthcare, PSU healthcare, even until now, private healthcare has been used by a large number of population, and the governmental facilities were also utilized who had limited resources. But in principle, these huge governmental resources were remain unutilized, and they have become more hospitals for epidemic and pandemic. So here we, the policymaker, that integration between private and the public sector much needed reform, and we are currently focusing on how to bring these two sectors together towards the common principle, also with the medical education. The last point was the medical education was curriculum versus syllabus. It was interesting that India 50 to 75 country, which requires the maximum education focus, while in our graduate system, we are teaching them with the curricular syllabus of more than 250 diseases, and problem is the students with the numbers of undergraduates doesn't cope up with this load, and certainly we need to look at it, that the basic medical science education becomes more focused and more precise to the need of the country. So here the doctors ratio of the institution Foundation of India. The diversity and I mentioned earlier, the some has excellent numbers of doctors and all the proactive efforts, organizations, medical leaders, doctors, state health secretary, political. I think this is very, very important. And I'm not sure that the state must have the same example and which the 1:1 ratio as possible from the quantity. The current challenges in the health, mentioning this, I'm mentioning it because this helps us to define post-COVID medical education study. Our main problem is, which is in principle, integration of educational service. We have educational services for everything, but we feel that if we integrate and reorganize ourselves, like bringing the public-private sector, all learning resources together, like bringing the national and international learning resources together, then possibly we can achieve much better and much better outcome. In a similar way, this focus, we need to get the effective for tomorrow, the human resource. It is very vital, and the allied workforce, and the nursing workforce, not only doctors but nursing practitioners, like the different concepts which we need to introduce in our system. One point I observed, because I have worked in United Kingdom for a substantial long time, and the one aspect which we need to improve on our ourselves in National Board of and the other regulatory systems, right, that we need to be dynamic and it quickly with the time, in the sense that we stick to the same old principles for a while, and we feel that that principle is going to deliver, and we stretch it to the time when we already gone significant comings with it. So that is more dynamic, more stable, and that is that this COVID-19 is going to teach us, definitely COVID-19 teaches us that you cannot continue research for the vaccine in 3 years' time. You need it in 6 months' time or 1 year time. And you have to have your resources and time. So these are then skill-based learning is the one most important component in the time of technical advancement and teaching environment. And I must compliment Rajiv Gandhi University of Health Sciences, a couple of your facilities, and have already initiated a great deal of enthusiasm based learning across the Karnataka state. There are others, demand supply gap. We are sending the doctors who are lost to the outside. There are challenges to the health sector. The current COVID-19 is in the healthcare is, we all agree that it is the public sector or private sector. The infrastructure we need to do a different way now. I'll give an example of a hospital that it was had a lot of time to create COVID facilities and non-COVID facilities together by separating both from each other, which was a real nightmare for us. This is just an example. There are many infrastructure issues which I'm sure all of us have to note it and we need to review it. The second important issue of non-clinical services, where we have seen in the COVID pandemic that majority, lot of spreaders came from the service delivery management systems. And I think this is something which we need to put into it in the critical. Certainly the COVID-19 financial pressure on all the institutions, medical institutions in the country, and certainly ensure that we need to put our financial resources, reviewed and save our costs to ensure that medical training and the healthcare workers are compromised. Another issue is as the HR is which is change, and the most important which I mentioned before and now is we focus hugely on and community education, and whatever structure of training within the hospital or medical school, we must ensure that the additional component of patient education. And the last thing, now we realized after the COVID, with the need of research and set up on the quantum basis, we need to have a strong notification system. Even I was impressed. Indian Nursing Council introduced the registry system, state-of-art registration system across the country, and a lot of states it. And we need to replicate success stories and results into all aspects of healthcare, education, and healthcare environment. The medical education, if we see first, I focus on what has created to medical education. The first important thing is the routine training schedules of medical students, whether it is graduate or undergraduate. Now, the discontinuity on teaching to the medical education as far as the years of concerned, both for undergraduate as well. Then, because non-COVID has been gradually disappeared, now it's not only in India. This has happened in the western part of the world also, that after the surge in the COVID pandemic to an exponential level, the numbers of non-COVID surgical procedures, as well as the intervention, as well as the treatment part, has been reduced in significant way. And it's a matter of debate in the medical. The drastic, as I said, in clinical cases. Lockdown effect has also been a number of trauma, orthopedic related surgeries, roadside accidents. Certainly, it has reduced the number of. It is good for the society in principle, but certainly exposure of medical doctors will be seen here to some extent. Another important observation which we have seen is first time the physician is treating COVID have a dual role. Until now, we came across three diseases, even to the swine flu also. We never felt that we need to protect ourselves. I think this is the first disease where after the century time, where healthcare workers and doctors felt that they want to protect the patient, but they want to save themselves. Now, very important because this brings a lot of behavioral changes and implications on how we are going to handle our patients in the near future. It's not here part of the healthcare workers' casualty has been significant, their infectivity has been significant, and it is inevitable circumstance that they are, by treating the COVID patients, particularly the one with the and severe patients, they are going infected. Some of them are going to get infected with the COVID pandemics. The another sad part, because of the shortage of the manpower, this one medical resources, we put lot of training with the responsibilities as a frontline worker. Now, the only problem, they may have a great, but their ability to practice is limited, and it's dangerous if they work beyond their competency. So I think that is something which we need to look at it on a broader spectrum. And lastly, as I said, and as Honorable Prime Minister has mentioned that indirectly, that we must put a significant focus on public health education, and that includes the everything. The new concepts which emerged from the COVID-19 challenges is one, as as Honorable Prime Minister and Honorable Minister of the State and everyone has said, that we need to advance our existing. We have already aware of existing telemedicine and teleconsulting system, but so far we were passive on it, or to move in a much more proactive way, implement it in a formal way with strong protocols in the medical environment. The second important is adaptive research protocols, where every institution, every organization like us, whether it's National Board, whether ICMR, whether it's the Medical Council of India, government, DCGI, we need to ensure that we to make our research protocol more effective, and we must do all the unnecessary talks to ensure that the research is promoted, motivated, and innovation has to be motivated, so we can get a quick hold on the fatal disease like COVID-19. So same with the clinical trials. And the most important, which I mentioned before, is defining the culture of professionalism and altruism with the clinic. Traditionally, the majority of the clinicians always feel that patients are above them. I have seen, even myself also, that many times we treat our patients that might be sick or we are ill health. We put our patients above it, and it's altruistic behavior. And we need to ensure that the professionalism and altruistic behavior need to be changed with the COVID-19 pandemic to decrease the risk. Healthcare workers, not only the doctors, but with the nurses, but with the, all the clinical workers working in the healthcare sector, that we have to be careful and have to understand that when we treat others, we have to protect ourselves too. Hence, the optimal social distance to become a usual discipline as we have seen now. And lastly, as I said, what we do with the reforms, it should bring the changes at a social and behavioral level, because that is the only thing medical fraternity and healthcare sector and the government, the rapid recovery from such pandemic, make our stage and disease free as soon as possible. The medical education in the era, now we just mentioned that the way the national board, and we need to develop our strategy, that we are evolving the physical concept. The physical concept has a three components. The one component is physical, or you can call it classroom teaching, or you can call it clinician teaching. We cannot teach that method. None of the online method, none of the new education is going to displace this method. And we have to keep this value system alongside with us. And that is the one of the core pillar of digital concept. The second core pillar of the skill-based learning, that simulation is a very important component. There are different methods of simulation. There are virtual simulation, virtual exposure. I am still not a real expert of this area, but certainly we have perceived this as one of the vital tools for the medical students and medical doctors for tomorrow to develop with all this sort of complexities and technological advancement. And the third important is that we all have accepted now the online platform and digital learning. Now, all were existing, but so far we have not given that much of focus into it. In the post-COVID era, this has become a vital component for us. Now, there are limitations with an online education, I have said, but still there are advantages with it, that it's standardized. It gives a uniform access to the medical students, and we are talking about diversity and dichotomy. And second, it's certainly the learning curve. Other advantages is still not review publications. They are. I am sure in next 2 years this will become a vital factors and integral method of training and teaching the medical doctors and the healthcare workers of the country. The other thing is how we the students. So even the next board we have started even the online assessment tools, and we have started already fellowship. Certainly in the coming time, we are going to evolve this model, because as you have seen the recent COVID era, the examinations were declared. We took a theory examination and practical examination. It demotivates and frustrates people. And certainly we need to look at much more interactive and to this. And the another important part, Medical Council of India and as a national board of they are implementing from this is good practices to all across, and they are developing a proper experts across the country, which communication, medical ethics, so while increasing quantity in a quantum way, the quality should not get compromised. Then it's a high time COVID pandemic and with all webinars and all we all learned that it's easy for us to integrate global learning resources, and majority of the medical fraternity community is very happy with it, and let's come together and develop the global learning resources with all our students across the globe. The next one is, this is the how the digital model is going to, which is going to keep all the three components and actually the totality of the medical education to the future to our medical students. And the issue is, it's that it is a real challenge in terms of its rights in the context of protocols, technology, limitations, dilemmas, and all this. We have to establish the collective together this way to achieve this. And since the digital learning is just to show how the digital learning can help us in the future. Now, challenges with the post-COVID era, as we said, if the patient contact and patient contact will reduce, the team-based learning, patient skill, and the physical examination skill is going to get students, and this is something which we need to look very aggressively and effectively. And in fact, this has to be put in the institutional strategy rather than in the regular strategy. It will be more helpful for universities, for individual organizations, sure, shall come in the next step. The ethical issues, we need to revise it and put it very strongly to ensure that tomorrow our doctor doesn't have any backlash from the practice purpose, as we know that knowledge is something different, practice is something different. Knowledge you can get it from Google, get it from all online resources, but unless you don't develop the and ability to develop the clinical practice that exist, and this is the I feel that we need to focus very strongly on. The another important is very, very important. There is no point in teaching students in the regional area in the about special aspect of robotic surgeries. So need-based learning has to be by local state authority, education authority, individual organizations, and university, because that will help to develop a step-ladder pattern of primary, secondary, and tertiary education, and to not intermingle with each other, or to have a cross reaction with each other. The last and important one is, in the similar sense, is we need to have strong uniformity in our as possible. And on top of the national board, the state health department and the universities to come and to help us to the training and learning tools, so that we are open to criticism, and we are open to the best possible COVID era that benefits us. The other challenge is in the which is more on a practice context, evidence-based practice is going to be a difficult one, with lot of hypotheses are psychological perception, ethical dilemmas, the financial health of the institute, the lot of curve on the resources, and we need to change the quality established as we say. It requires an integration of resources, and we need to ensure that our accreditation methodology, whether it comes from regulatory, whether it comes from the quality organization, to put it in a way that it positively and constructively help the organization to achieve the goal of excellence with the clinical treatment of the patients and community. Then the last two slides is mainly how the patient can develop their strategies. One important strategy we request to the government of India that medical education should be given a priority and should be given a stimulus in the part of economic and social, because that will certainly prevent any shortcomings which is going to be here for us for the national consensus put up that we now collectively understand we need to transform ourselves. That transformation has to be acceptable to the stakeholders, and it has to be done as in the national. The regulatory framework and the curriculum to physical learning should be established by the regulatory agency that will help the state health authority, universities, and the individual organization, which is our duty, and ensure that in the coming time we will build up a strong and for that. We also need alliance with the national medical. We need to, like I said about Karnataka, help state that the way they are communicating with us and with the central agencies, that I think the similar with the most of the states in the country, and certainly it will establish a better communication, to do much more, and that's where we need a much stronger and trend alliance with the state and the national medical education. Another is we are learning, which we already started webinars and lot of other and activities, and we need to sharing of resources and technology, which we are at sharing the best practices across the country and across the state. The institution strategy that must establish as soon as possible and as less disruptive as possible. We also design technological measures to support the learning. We build the model that aligns institutional resources while maximizing the output. Because post-COVID is the major factor which every institution will hit from it. We also learn from our mistakes, digitalization, hybridization, and UPS learning, and we promote innovations, renewal of our teaching learning model, and this is a responsibility of our like us. This is responsibility of our regulatory agents of the state health organization. And the way forward is not to live safely with the COVID-19 till it recedes. It's defined hospitals with all institutions, the public or private sector, treating and their role and responsibility of education, and not stay away from the while dealing with the crisis. The focus on innovative practice into the system, and it should be fairly aggressive manner with the full of care and invest in people to healthcare workshop or strong emphasis on education in public health should be integrated into the until now it was only a graduate system, but now possibly we need to think much more and to build up in the postgraduate curriculum also. And to promote a dynamic, we should not stick to one principle, we should as and when Indian needs, a state needs, a country needs. I will give you an example that over the time, when we feel that one area which we know a district headquarter at once city or macro city, we need to move from primary, secondary care, tertiary care. We need to focus on more focus for the tertiary care. While in the region, more on the tertiary care doctors, to provide the education facility, to get more doctors for primary and secondary care. And adapt the best practice in the state. And my last statement, even for myself also, keep learning. With the quote, I would describe that we all know transformation, this transformation, transformation. With this quote, I end my. Please pardon me for any statement which you don't agree with me, and thank you so much for this privilege and inviting me for this talk. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Abhijat Sheth. That was a very exhaustive speech on the impact of COVID-19 on medical education. We know that COVID-19 has not only affected our individual lives, personal lives, but it has swept into all the fields. Maybe it is academics, it could be professional, it could be our private lives. COVID has affected every single aspect of it. You have very nicely brought out the problems and challenges that we are facing right now. You also given a lot of solutions to that as well. We are really grateful to you. And though you might have seen very small audience in the hall, this was because of the social distance that we have maintained. And there are a lot of people who are hooked on online. And thank you very much, sir. Since this is an oration and an endowment lecture, there are no questions allowed. I would thank you again on behalf of Rajiv Gandhi University of Health Sciences for accepting to deliver this endowment lecture in the name of Dr. S. Kanta, the first Vice Chancellor of Rajiv Gandhi University of Health Sciences. Thank you, Dr. Abhijat Sheth. We will be in touch with you again.
Thank you, sir. Time for our next lecture. I would like to call upon Dr. Girish Rao to give away an endowment lecture dedicated to Dr. Shivaratna C. Savadi, a lecture on dentistry during COVID-19 crisis. Introducing the speaker, he holds a UG from Government Dental College, Bangalore, PG from Government Dental College, Madras. He has worked in Kidwai on oral cancer. Trained in UK, he has obtained 2 fellowships from Royal College of Surgeons of England and Ireland. Returning to India, he has worked in various hospitals in Bangalore. He was a professor and HOD of oral and maxillofacial surgery at RV Dental College for almost 17 years. Publishing 25 papers in international journals, he has authored chapters in international edition on Hamilton Bailey's clinical methods. Currently working as the Honorary General Secretary-elect of Association of Oral and Maxillofacial Surgeons of India, he is here to deliver his endowment lecture on dentistry during COVID-19 crisis.
It's my privilege to introduce Dr. Shivaratna Savadi. She was the principal and dean of Government Dental College at Bangalore, and she was also the director of medical education. Madam had very clean, very astute interest in dentistry, especially clinical dentistry, and she was always regarded as a very good teacher. In her, she has instituted this endowment lecture in Rajiv Gandhi Institute of Health Sciences, and on Foundation Day, this lecture is being organized for the last few years, and today we have with us Dr. Girish Rao. I welcome Dr. Girish Rao to continue the program.
Very good afternoon to all of you. Respected Honorable Vice Chancellor, Dr. Sachidananda, Registrar of RGUHS, Mr. Shivanand Kapasi, Dr. Lingegowda, Srimati Zohair Jabbar, various principals of different medical, dental and other health organizations, senior professors, students, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me immense pleasure to present to you the endowment lecture of my teacher. Can I have the presentation on, please? All right. Dr. Shivaratna C. Savadi. She was very dear to me. She was my teacher, mentor, former director of medical education of Government of Karnataka, probably the first lady dentist passing out of Government Dental College, and then became the dean of the dental school, and also was the professor and head of orthodontics at the Department of Orthodontics in Government Dental College when I was a student between 83 to 87. A very simple person, but not just she was a teacher, I was also her patient when I was a kid as an orthodontist. I studied from National High School and National College, which was probably in the 70s, one of the best schools in Bangalore. And at that point of time, in 12th standard, I had 91.3%, and I just missed getting into medical school in the Government Medical College, BMC. And I was at crossroads, had joined engineering in BMS Engineering College, and I got a letter saying that I was first in a merit seat in Kempegowda Institute of Medical Sciences. I was at real crossroads, which specialty to choose, and I went and met Madam Savadi because she was my orthodontist. Madam, what should I do? Should I do medicine? Should I continue with my engineering? Or should I take up dentistry in Government Dental College, which was a free seat? And the thing which she told me, which stuck to me, is I think you need to do all three. You need to be a doctor, you need to be an engineer, and you need to be an artist. And that's where I took off. Today, I stand before you doing extensive amount of surgeries at NIMHANS, where I do craniofacial surgery, at Sri Shankara Cancer Hospital, where I do a lot of oral oncology. I was also trained with Dr. Lingegowda. We were almost together at the same time in Kidwai. I also do an engineering work with constructing bridges inside the mouth when we put implants in. And I do a lot of artistic work where I reconstruct the face and give a normal shape and function to a mutilated or disfigured unfortunate patients with clefts or craniofacial syndromes. So with this introduction, I need to look at what has happened in this time where we have been challenged with COVID. I was in England end of February and I came back on 5th of March being an examiner for the Royal College of Surgeons of Edinburgh. At that point of time, I'm talking just 3 months back, there was absolutely no talk, even in England, or even in India on COVID. We were just looking at maybe China and somewhere in Spain, there was just some kind of, talk about COVID at that point of time. In fact, in the hotel where I was staying there was, when you're surfing channels, essentially I saw a beautiful kind of thing. There was a Chinese boy sitting on the road, please do not isolate Chinese, I am Chinese. And there was a big movement in Spain which was called as the Hug a Chinese. And that's the price they paid, essentially getting so much of COVID-19 in a very, very civilized society. This indicates what is the global scenario in COVID today. And if we look at basically the hub where it is there, this is Europe, where there is so much of COVID cases, and probably the maximum is in America. And today, we have also in India a number which is coming up. If we look at the statistics, it's important to understand the global scenario is probably about 60 lakhs. And the number of deaths across the globe is about 3,69,000. India alone, today, this is last night figures, has had about 1,89,000 cases of COVID. This is something which we couldn't have had, but for the bold step which our Prime Minister has taken on the lockdown. And that is the kind of scenario which you're seeing today. Despite the fact that world has got, the entire global scenario is about 60 lakhs. We are less than 2 lakhs today. We constitute about 1/6 of the population across the globe. But just because of that one bold step, we have actually contained this infection. If I take you to the top bit, this is Karnataka's scene. We only have had about 3,221 cases as of today. And the number of deaths is only about 51. I think we must congratulate the government of Karnataka, which has taken this extremely bold step again in controlling this infection. I must also congratulate Rajiv Gandhi University of Health Sciences, just because of the fact that we have trained so many doctors to manage the situation. The tele-ICU concept, which was first looked upon by this university, has made such a huge difference in training so many doctors who can manage a patient on ventilator if there is a need, which would eventually happen. Very, very important move which Rajiv Gandhi University has taken such a bold step in making such a huge difference in training so many people. Sir, congratulations to you and the entire team which has done such a wonderful job on that. Now, I'm not going to dwell upon this, but this is very, very important that COVID-19 does not differentiate between borders, between ethnicities, between disability status, across the age or across the gender. It has affected every country. In fact, the richer nations have been affected even more compared to the developing nations. And that is a food for thought for us to look at from the epidemiological view, what is actually preventing such rapid spread of this disease? Has it been our innate immunity? Have we been already exposed to some kind of, already a small, just like a vaccine, a natural kind of thing, which has actually given us a herd immunity? Or is it the BCG vaccine? Or is it the Jugaad kind of immunity which we have because of the cleanliness which is not there? That itself could have been a very, very protective force for us. And I think the most important thing is we need to defeat this COVID-19 together. And that's what we've been doing. All of us have been following this, and even today we have done the social distancing. You saw the way in which everybody was basically using hand sanitization. All of us have been wearing masks. I'm not wearing the mask here because I'm at least about 10 feet away from here, and the usual things which we are happening. These are the common symptoms we all know, and I'm going to run through a few of these slides. And in a COVID infection, you have cough, fever, difficulty in breathing. That is the three key symptoms. You could also have essentially sometimes a loss of taste and loss of smell. Sometimes you can have conjunctivitis or dermatitis, which is causing. But the most crucial thing is when it affects the respiratory tract, you have a cytokine storm and you get pneumonia. And despite putting on the ventilators, we lose a lot of these patients. So who is most at risk? It's the older generation which is most at risk. And this graph shows us what it is. If you're less than 50, your possibility of dying because of COVID-19 is less than 1.5%. However, if you're 80 plus and if you're exposed to this virus, the chances of you dying is about 15%. And that is where we need to protect our grandparents, our parents, and the senior citizens who are at the most risk in developing this infection. Again, we have seen 90% of the people who have had COVID infection are asymptomatic. 10% is with symptoms, which could be even severe, which might require hospitalization, and less than 1% of them require actually ICU backup, and that's the biggest risk group which we are concerned about. With a population of 1.3 billion, if we have even 1%, that is huge lives which are going to be lost, and that's where we need to be extremely careful. How does it spread? It is essentially with coughing and sneezing, shaking hands, or touching your eyes and mouth, which can actually cause this infection. So there is a direct spread, or it can be through aerosol. And that is where you can see social distancing or physical distancing is so important. If you cough or sneeze, it can go all the way to about 6 feet, and this can cause a spread of infection. What is the incubation period of this virus? Generally, it can be anywhere between 1 to 14 days, but essentially it is 3 to 7 days. What is the how contagious is this infection? Probably it is not as bad. It's probably as much as of HIV. It's about 1.4 to 2.5, and HIV being between 2 to 5. So it's almost like that in terms of spread. And this is a very important pyramid for us to understand that majority of the patients, even though they have actually been exposed to COVID-19, may be totally asymptomatic. They are the carriers, and they are at the bottom of the pyramid. And as we go along, you have mild symptoms, and then you have the severe symptoms, and then you die because of COVID-19. Community spread is probably the key, the way in which it can spread. One person can go in and spread to thousands of people, and that is where you need to be extremely careful. And the most important thing is to contain this infection in a very, very systematic way. And that's where our government has done a fantastic job. How can we spread, how can the spread of this COVID-19 be slowed down or prevented? Or do we have a treatment for this problem? Currently, there is no available vaccine. The treatment is only symptomatic. There is something which we need to understand from others' experiences, and this is which happened in China, in Italy, and in Spain. And it is important to know that people were treating COVID-19 patients with N95 masks, and they were all affected. And that is where people found that these powered air purifying respirators played a major role in containing this infection. So this is very, very important, and that is where the distance matters a lot. Within 1 meter radius, you have a very high risk of infection because of droplets, and beyond that, if you are 2 meters, the possibility of infection becomes less. So in medical schools, in dental schools now, our classrooms need to be modified. We need to make this kind of changes. It's like exam kind of scenario. Normally, even in an auditorium like this, it would be packed. Today, we have such distancing because of this issue. And it is important that we flatten the curve, because if you have a huge number of people affected by this disease in a very short period of time, our healthcare facility in the country is not adequate. It is not adequate anywhere in the world. We have seen patients on corridors in America, in Italy, in Spain, in UK. In fact, a friend of mine who heads the ICU in Yorkshire, we were together, and we are almost on a day-to-day kind of chat. And he was saying, it is so difficult for me to decide who's going to live today and who's not going to live. Who's going to have an ICU bed? There are 8 patients who are coming into the ICU, and we have only 2 ICU beds. 6 of them have to be sent out. That means that those 6 have already been pronounced with a death sentence. It is very traumatic for us to take that decision. And I hope we will never go to that kind of scenario. And that is the key. Now, we have actually been introduced to certain measures which are helping us to prevent the spread. And that is where the cough etiquette is very, very important. Wearing a mask is very, very vital. This I didn't know. I was always, even as a medical profession, I was always covering my hands with a kerchief for both hands before I sneezed. But today COVID has taught us that we need to do it this way. And that is very, very important. Wearing masks is probably one of the most important things. Now, if you have a carrier, somebody who has got positive, they may not have even symptoms. And if they are not wearing a mask, this slide is very important, then the healthy person is wearing a mask, the possibility of he receiving an infection is about 70%. Because the carrier, the first top bit which you're saying, is not wearing a mask. If the carrier is wearing a mask and a healthy person is not wearing a mask, the possibility of the healthy person getting this infection is only about 5%. If both of them are wearing a mask, it is less than 1.5%. So one of the simplest measures of reducing this infection is everybody must wear a mask. The question comes, which type of mask which needs to be worn? Now, our N95 mask probably will, contain and, it filters about 95% of the viruses. Our surgical mask, 3-ply mask, also basically contains this infection. So it is not bad, right? But if you look at the bottom, the cloth masks which are available in the market, this is totally useless. It does not basically help us in any way. And one of the key things which you need to use today is what is called as a powered air purifying respirator. This is something which is very, very important if you are doing any aerosol procedures, because you are at the highest risk if you are, with coming across aerosols. And that is something which you need to invest. It probably costs anywhere between 3,000 to about 15,000, but worth investing because safety is almost 100% with this virus. People say, can I use just a shield, especially in the dental circles? Simple shield without a mask is no. Yes, with a mask and a shield definitely helps you in protection, and that is where you're seeing a PA/PR, which is helping you complete protection. What is the gear which you need to wear in your practice? NHS has given a beautiful kind of simple measures, and it could be a simple basic kit with a 45 GSM gown. If you are just a healthcare worker, not in close proximity with the patient. If you're coming across patients, then a medium kit with 70 GSM. So that's where clinicians come in. But if you are doing procedures on COVID positive patients or carriers, then you need to go in for an advanced kit, which has got much more thicker GSM of your protective gear and which is impervious. So this is something which you need to dwell upon. You need to decide where you're going to be and accordingly the kind of things which you need to take. This is me in my different gears when I'm operating. This is a full gown which is called as a hazmat suit when you have a high-risk patient, or in my OT you can see the kind of thing when you have somebody who is at more risk. But essentially in my OT, I've been practicing now, after the lockdown has been lifted in the last 1 month, we have probably done about 8 emergency procedures in Shankara Cancer Hospital and in a few trauma centers where I've been practicing. And this is the gear which we are using, which helps us in protection. Some of the simplest things which we have all been now accustomed to is getting our temperatures checked, and of course hand-free sanitization probably is the key. Another important thing which you need to look at investing in your practices or in the schools is UV light. Now, ultraviolet light in the wavelength of 190 to 290 is known to be virucidal. So a room like this can be sanitized completely in about 20 minutes if you have enough number of ultraviolet lights. But again here, nobody should be inside the room when the lights are on, the blue lights are on, because you can have skin problems, you can get basal cell carcinomas. Our Vice Chancellor would definitely vouch on that. You're more at risk for developing, all kinds of skin cancers, and also you can get temporary blindness, or you can get retinal damage when you are inside a chamber which has got UV light, right, in this frequency. This is how we do it in many OTs to sanitize and sterilize this area, and that's another shot of that. The entire building, so many schools across the globe are using UV lights. So after all the children go out, then it is important that for 20 minutes, it's just for 20 minutes, not overnight on, it's only for 20 minutes with nobody in, the entire building can be sanitized. So this is something which we need to look at too. What disinfectants we are using in our practice? Essentially it is sodium hypochlorite. This is a bleach. This is only in about 0.25 to 1%. Various kind of things for which you can use, or hydrogen peroxide is probably something which you can all use too. Again, you need to have frequent cleaning of all the surfaces, floors, including door handles, which needs to be taken care of. Testing, we have all talked about it. Today, we have two tests, the RT-PCR test, and of course you have the antibody test, and people are working on that. Again, you need to know that even with RT-PCR test, you have about 30% which could be negative. And that's the reason why in patients, for our surgical cases, the protocol which we are using is due at the time when the patient basically is seen by you, an RT-PCR test, quarantine them for 2 weeks, just at home, repeat the test on admission, and then go ahead with the surgery. This basically makes sure that your patient has not got a COVID positive case, right? Because if you do a surgery in a COVID positive patient, the mortality can be very high, and that's something which we need to be really, really careful about. This is a video, if I may play, what we follow. A quick video, which we do and follow in our practice. ತುಂಬ ಬ್ರೈಟ್ ಆಗಿದೆ, ತುಂಬ ಬ್ರೈಟ್ ಆಗಿದೆ, ಕಮ್ಮಿ ಮಾಡಿ. ಈಗ ಸರಿ ಇದೆ. ಬ್ರೈಟ್ನೆಸ್ ಕಮ್ಮಿ ಮಾಡಿ. So I think it's important that we actually document whoever comes into the practice. So this is very, very important, and we need to send it to the government every kind of day at the end of the day. I'm just showing you how we are actually following it in a practice. This is how we sanitize with water and hydrogen peroxide, 0.5% hydrogen peroxide. It's not a chemical, it just becomes water and nascent oxygen, and that is virucidal. So this you can spray and disinfect, and of course you are checking the temperature as soon as your patients walk in. Hand sanitization with alcohol scrubs. This is very, very important. And then you need to put a cap and give gloves to your patients so that they don't touch anything or pick up anything from anywhere. An important thing is a consent form which needs to be also signed, including taking history of from where they are actually traveling and coming to. So this is very, very important, asking for signs and symptoms, cough, fever, any respiratory distress, difficulty in breathing, or if they've come across with anybody. You also give a gown to the patients, especially if you're doing any surgical procedures or examining the patient. These are sterile disposable gowns. And foot cover, which is also used when they sit on the dental chair so that they also do not spread an infection. A thorough history has to be taken, and then you do a good clinical examination. Again, using autoclaved instruments, this is very, very important. Maintaining your distance. See, as dentists, probably we are the most at risk because you go into the mouth, and there is nothing worse than that. In fact, otolaryngologists are still away, or anesthetists are still away. But here, to do anything, you have to go inside the mouth. X-rays, again, intraoral X-rays are forbidden now at this point of time, and that's where an OPG X-ray or a CBCT can actually help and gives you more information. So this is very, very, you need to modify all these things to the circumstances. So every patient basically has got a cap, a mask, and of course a gown. Even if you're doing any procedures, you're basically taking extreme amount of care so that you'll minimize the spread of infection from patient to patient. This gentleman had a small leukoplakia. We had to excise that with laser. So small injection which is being given into the tongue. So that's how we do this procedure. Even at consultation, so both donning and doffing is important, so you need to have a dedicated area for that too. And disposal. See, this is another big problem which is going to happen because of so much of disposable items being used today. We are going to generate a huge amount of disposable items. They need to be segregated and they need to be given out. So this is something which is very, very important. So personal protective equipment is absolutely important in your practice. Spacing out the appointments again is very, very important. You are not basically having, earlier we used to have about 30-40 patients at one time in our practice. Today we space everything, half an hour apart. Basic hand hygiene protocols, which you saw earlier. Spacing out even, the seating arrangement is very, very important. So you need to mark it out where all you are going to allow people to sit and follow that to the core. So this is very, very important. Now, you also need to invest, especially in dental practices, on a HEPA filter. I'm going to talk to you about these important things and a high vacuum evacuation suction. These two are very, very vital, and that's the UV light sterilizer which we have put in our practice for your day-to-day practice. And this is basically surface disinfectant of all the instruments, of all the equipments and your furniture between patients. This is very, very vital for you to do it. So the moment somebody leaves, you need to basically disinfect the entire surface, and of course your essential sterilization protocols which have to be followed to the core. This makes such a huge difference in the way in which we can practice safe dentistry, safe medicine in this COVID era. As I told you earlier, extraoral radiographs. Again, no shaking of hands. Go back to our traditional methods of greeting people. Good ventilation of your offices is also very, very important. That's a small video which I wanted to show you. Oh, right. I'll have to go back into my presentation. So what are, I'm going to finish off in another few minutes. What are the recommendations? Can I have the PPT again back, please? Okay. To the dental practitioners, I think one of the key message is that limit all non-essential procedures in this day and age. This is very, very important. Handle only emergencies because we are still not geared up. And we don't know how this disease is basically spreading. So this is very, very important that you are careful with this. Now you address only emergency procedures. That could be an infection, severe bleeding, or a trauma case. That is which we are looking at. And our Karnataka State Dental Council has actually come up with a regulation. What is the thing which we need to basically follow? And it is very, very vital that we follow these protocols which have been stipulated for practicing safe dentistry across the state. Assume that everybody is a carrier and follow these basic precautions. When I was training 30 years back, HIV was still not there. I still remember, I'm sure even Dr. Lingegowda will remember, most of the procedures we were doing it with bare hands. We were using syringes which were all only boiled, glass syringes with stainless steel needles. Today that is history. Everybody is essentially using disposable items. Disposable needles, disposable syringes, and sterile gloves which are also discarded at the end of the day. We used to wash all the gloves and hang them and then maybe sterilize them because we never had a supply of that. And with the COVID era today, we are changing completely. Some outpatient recommendations. This is absolutely important that the attendees who come along with the patients are not allowed in your practice. Maintain social distancing. This is also very, very important. Using rubber dams. This is very, very important. And of course, using a powered air purifying respirator. This is also very, very important, and which I had shown you earlier, the way in which, can I have the next slide here? Yeah, this is a rubber dam, especially if you're doing an endodontic procedure. Again, very important that your operatory, this is something which we were discussing during the hackathon session. Can we make our operatory negative? I've looked at it at length. And I'm telling you, to make a 10 by 10, it costs about 8 to 10 lakhs to modify that. And that's exorbitantly expensive. And that's where we need to modify certain things. The OT airflow, if we really look at it, and this is something which basically most of our OTs are already geared up for, the entire air can be changed in about 14 minutes. That means that your entire area is again sterilized. And that is something which we need to start looking at even in our practices. Airborne infection isolation requirements. This is something which is the key, especially if we are doing aerosol generating procedures. And there are certain terminologies which you need to come across. One is something called as a HEPA. HEPA stands for High Efficiency Particulate Air Filters. The air change per hour, this is very, very important, ACH. And then the other terminology is CFM, that is fresh airflow through the room, that is cubic feet per meter, and another terminology called as CADR, that is clean air delivery rate. HEPA filters, if we are really going in, there are different types of HEPA filters, and for medical purpose, it is only HEPA filter 13 and 14, which basically filters 0.005 or 0.05 size particles. So that is very, very important. Now the air change per hour is very, very important even in dental practices. This has already been done in the OTs because of laminar flow, but in practices, this is something which we need to look at. And we need to have a minimum of 6 air change per hour. And that can be very easily done by a simple jugaad, having a simple pedestal fan behind you and having an exhaust fan behind the patient. So what happens is that air is being sucked out. It's not blown towards you. Please do not have a fan in front of you. It has to be behind you, and an exhaust fan in the, fitted to the wall, just facing you. So that will help in recirculation of the air. ACs do not recirculate the air. In fact, you are actually contributing more of infection. And we've seen in flights, when people come in when they were carriers, the entire flight can, passengers can be infected because of air conditioning and recirculation. So that is something which we need to think about, the way in which we are basically practicing. So for an aerosol generating procedure, for dentists I'm talking about who are doing endodontic work, you need to think about HEPA air filters in your practice. You must invest on an ultraviolet light source, and that would take about 15 minutes between the patients. You also need to use defogging, the one which I showed you, with air blasting water and hydrogen peroxide, that is called as HPV. And also you can think in terms of natural ventilation. So all these things can be clubbed together and we should be able to do it. Again, practitioners who are beyond 60 years of age, please do not practice at this point of time. I think this is the time for youngsters to go into practices. It's not moving here. Yeah. And that's where youngsters need to look at it. Please do not overdo things also, otherwise patients will not come into your practice. And what are the things which we have ahead of us? With this corona time, how can we basically look at things in a further perspective? I think this is where this diagram is very important. Initially there was a fear or a panic. Then as we learnt around, this is the learning zone in which we have been living in. And then we start accepting it, and that's the growing zone where we are basically modifying our lives and then moving on. So this is very, very important. And what Charles Darwin quoted is very, very important. It is not the strongest of the species that survives, nor the most intelligent. It is the one that is most adaptable to change which survives. And that is where we all need to change. And this is very, very important. There is a plea from my side, and in fact, this is something which we must actually do. We need to set up a dedicated center to manage COVID positive patients for dental practice. We have Victoria Hospital and we have the government hospitals already there to do medical management, but we don't have a center for managing COVID positive patients. They also can have severe dental pain. They also probably need an extraction. They also will probably need a root canal treatment. I have already initiated the whole process with my close friend, Dr. Girish at the Government Dental College. We have identified a place and we are requesting the government, maybe the university can also help us in having a dedicated center so that we take extra care and extra precautions so that we are basically safe. What is the take-home message? This is very, very important. Nobody knows when this pandemic will end. It could be a few months or it could be a couple of years. In the previous pandemic, which happened in 1918, it took us 2 years to control it. In fact, the biggest threat is basically the second wave. It's something which we need to be careful about. People were very happy in the first wave. After a few months, there was no problems. But the second wave in India itself killed 25 million people. This is between 1918 to 1920, the great influenza pandemic. So this is something which we need to look at too, and we need to be very, very careful to take suitable actions when it is necessary. Medical and dental school, they are a nidus for making this transformation, and under the umbrella of this great university, I'm sure we can make a huge difference, not only for individuals, but also for families, for the whole nation itself. And that's where we can make a huge difference. And that's where Rajiv Gandhi University has made such a huge difference to so many countless doctors, not just in India, but across the globe, and further on to all our patients. And this, in a time of crisis, this is an opportunity for us to basically take this to the next level and make the best use of this. Thank you very much for giving me this great opportunity, great honor to do this endowment lecture in the name of my teacher, Dr. Shivratna Savadi. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Girish, for that excellent talk. Very crisp, very clear, and you have given a very good message to the faculty and student population. As you all know that though many hospitals, medical hospitals have opened up, there is always a doubt in the mind of dentists and dental surgeons to open dental clinics. Even now they are very scared about aerosol generation and the spread of COVID infection. You have outlined very clearly many of the steps that could be taken to prevent such spread of infection. And of course, DCA has also given some guidelines, and Government of Karnataka and Government of India from time to time will also be issuing guidelines about how dentists should go about in practice. And keeping all that in mind, today I think the fear that we have in our mind to treat patients should be become less. We should be going ahead with taking all precautions for both personal and also for the patient, and treat the patients. I thank you so much for accepting the endowment lecture and delivering it here today. You have been patiently waiting since morning, and thank you so much. On behalf of Rajiv Gandhi University of Health Sciences, I thank you so much for being there. Kindly accept a token of appreciation from Sarbani.
Thank you, sir. I would now request Registrar Shri Shivanand Kapashi, sir, to render the vote of thanks.
Honorable Vice Chancellor, my colleagues in the university, and all the Honorable Senate and Syndicate members, and all other members, faculties and students who are joining on the line. It's an honor for the RGUHS on this auspicious day for having the Honorable Prime Minister of India to inaugurate the Silver Jubilee function and Foundation Day of the University. In spite of his busy schedule, our Honorable Prime Minister of India has given his valuable time for inauguration of this function. Sir, we are truly humbled by your gesture and wholeheartedly thank you for the same. We also thank the NIC team, both from central and the state team, and Prime Minister's office for having made this function a successful one. It's a memorable time and honor for the RGUHS to have the presence of Honorable Governor during this occasion, and we thank you, sir, for making it convenient to attend the release of the Hackathon booklet and special postal cover. Sir, we wholeheartedly thank you for dedicating your time for this function in spite of your health issues. It's a special and an auspicious day for the university to have Honorable Chief Minister who had made it point to come well in time and made this function a gracious one. Thank you, Marian sir. We also thank our Deputy Chief Minister and all central ministers who joined online, and our Worshipful Mayor, our Medical Education Minister, MP, MLA, and our Additional Chief Secretary to Health and Family Welfare and Medical Education who attended this function and who released the hackathon booklets and also released the special postal cover. Sirs, on behalf of the university, I extend you special thanks to you all. I take this opportunity to extend our special thanks to our Honorable Medical Education Minister for staying throughout the function and also interacting with the IIIT, Indian Institute of Science, Indian Institute of Management Bangalore, etc. And I also extend our thanks to the directors of Indian Institute of Science, Indian Institute of Management Bangalore, IIIT and Bio Innovation Centers. It's a very special moment for the university to have Dr. Abhijit Seth to deliver Dr. Mrs. Kanta as first Vice Chancellor of RGUHS Endowment Lecture on this special day. Sir, we thank you for delivering the lecture in spite of your busy schedule. Thank you, sir. I also extend our special thanks to Dr. Girish Rao, who has taken time and delivered Dr. Shivaratna C. Savadi an endowment lecture on this special event. Thank you very much, sir. On behalf of the university, I extend a special thanks to the tireless efforts of the deans, Senate, Syndicate, Academic Council, BOS, and faculty of the university who are pivotal in continuous progress of the university and also making this function a memorable one. A special thanks to print media and electronic media and their personnel for giving a wide coverage for the function. I will be failing in my duties if I do not extend my sincere thanks to the teachers and students of this university who are the pulse of the university. Thank you all. I take this opportunity to thank our team leader, Dr. Sachidanand sir, who has led this function almost single-handedly and made it a very grand success. And also take this opportunity to thank all the university staff and all those who directly and indirectly worked for the organizing this event and made it a very successful one. Thank you all. Thank you, sir. I also thank Mrs. Naina for having come and made it a good one. Thank you.
ನಿಖಿಲ್ ಆ ಸ್ಲೈಡ್ ಇರಲಿ, ಆನ್ಲೈನ್ ಕಟ್ ಮಾಡಿಬಿಡಿ. ನಿಖಿಲ್ ಡಿಸ್ಕನೆಕ್ಟ್.